Hello, everyone. Today is May the 8th, 2023. I'm going to share somewhat of an old dream that I never shared. It's not that old. It's from July 10th of 2022. All right. So I didn't write this down in one of my books. I wrote it as a note in my phone. So I'm going to read it. And I never made a video about this. It was August 10th, 2022 at 7. I don't know if it was PM or AM. The dream. Okay, I said this toward the end of the dream. So you're saying that all these good-looking and popular kids were the behavior problems. They wanted to see more misbehaving in the classroom. And it was in children that they used to put the dunce cap on. To shame, they used to put the dunce cap on these children to shame them into stopping their foolish behavior and to improve scholastic achievement. So if you're watching this, I want you to look up, if you're not familiar with the dunce cap, I want you to look it up. All right. And you just look at an image and you'll see it was like a little cone-shaped hat. A little cone-shaped hat that they would write dunce on. The teacher would write dunce on this hat and put it on a student, and they go sit in the corner. And this was when kids would behave poorly in class, this is what they would do. And it would just, make them, it was just like a shaming technique, basically, and an accountability thing. And this is like a real thing. So anyway, yeah, I'm not going to go too deeply into, whatever the origins of it were, but the fact is that it worked. I remember being in the 4th grade and I did something in class, I was acting silly in class, doing something. And my teacher, I think her name was Miss Mayhem. Miss Mayhem? Mayhem was not good. But anyway, something like that her name was. And she called me up to the front of the classroom. She had order in her class. This was a little old lady. Now, in my mind, she was a little old lady. She probably was like 55 or something. I don't know. No, she was older than that. She called me up to the front of the classroom, had me hold my hand out. She pulled her ruler out of her desk. She had me come around her desk to stand in front of her. And she opened her little wooden desk. They had big wooden desks back then. Big wooden desk. And she whacked me on the hand with it a few times. And then had me march back to my seat. And I was just as embarrassed as I could be. But you never did it again. She had order in her class. And this had to been either toward the beginning of me being in her class or the beginning of the year or whatever. So anyway, they had order. And you know what else they could do? Like the teacher, by that time, the teacher didn't paddle people anymore in that school. But you could be sent down to the principal's office and the principal would paddle you. Now, if you go to the principal's office, you get a bag of Doritos and a break from your work. So, and a pat on the back and some positive affirmations. So sure, there are problems in the world, and these kids have problems at home, but at least school could be someplace where they have order and structure if they're being held accountable for their behavior from the youngest of ages. So it doesn't make any sense to bring these children into school and then to allow the type of behavior that destroys the learning environment, not just for them, but for everybody. So chaos is created on purpose. So let me finish reading the dream. Okay. So I said toward the end of this dream, so you're saying that all these good-looking and popular kids were the behavior problems? They wanted to see more misbehaving in the classroom, and it was in the children that they used to put the dunce cap on to shame them into stopping their foolish behavior and improve scholastic achievement. But the children of the devil who do his will began to promote the characteristics of the behavior problem children and to set them up to be admired in order to encourage the spread of bad behavior. Okay, so how could you do things like that? Have movies. This guy named James Dean, I never seen this movie. This man was dead before I was born or knew about him. Named James Dean, Rebel Without a Cause. So you make movies and the hero of the movie is a bad boy. And he's, terrible. And that can elevate these images in kids' mind and make them want to emulate these people. Also, sports. Let me keep reading. So, this is what the dream was that made me say, oh, so you're saying that the good-looking and popular kids were the behavior problems? So this was the dream. Okay, the dream was that I entered down into a park-like area that had some stations set up as viewing areas, much like when you stop in front of an art exhibit in a museum. Only they were large planters with lush green growth. It must have been on a drip irrigation. So since it was inside, how could that type of stuff live without water and rain? So it must have been on some type of watering system. Okay, a man was there at first, and he was the caretaker. You know how a museum has a person called a curator, and that's the person who runs and tends to the museum and keeps up the exhibits and all that stuff. So each station represented a video that was posted. I knew they were once watched a lot, but now they were censored out of existence. And the glimpse that I got of the curator was the last he was seen. You couldn't even watch the videos anymore. I was trying to find a stethoscope so I could listen to the plant in each one tell the story. I wanted to listen to the plants in each one of the exhibits. Since the curator was gone and since you couldn't watch the videos anymore, I went and got a stethoscope. And that's the thing that doctors wear around their neck and listen to the people, listen to their heart and stuff. So when you listen with a stethoscope, you're trying to find some signs of life. You're trying to see if the person has a heartbeat. This is what the last thing they do before they pronounce a person dead. They listen at their chest. And if they don't hear a heartbeat I forget what the amount of time is. They have to listen for like a minute or something like that. I don't know. And then they're able to pronounce the person dead. So when something is so far gone that you need to find a stethoscope, because normally somebody's walking around, you can't hear their heart. But if you listen with a stethoscope, you can hear it clearly. So that's how bad this had gotten. It was silent so badly that you needed a stethoscope. Anyway, so I wanted to listen to the little plants in the exhibits to see if they had any squeaks of the story to tell. I was just desperate to hear this truth. So I was trying to find a stethoscope so I could listen to the plant in each one tell the story. One video I could see at first was a white woman who could have come off as racist now, but she was telling the truth of what was happening. If you refuse to hear what she was saying, you would believe lies. She was saying what was happening to America. Bullies on the schoolyard that were not seen back in the days when they used to shame the dunce. He and his behavior was silenced by the dunce cap, by punishments and consequences. So to give him a bold platform, this is what the lady was saying in her video, that it was so buried and censored that you had to get a stethoscope to listen to it. And I'm going to tell you one way you can kind of find these videos for now, but they're just finding reasons to delete these channels. But you can kind of find these videos by when you look up a subject, you got to scroll about 1,000 videos down to get to the ones that they have buried in the search. So I think that's maybe what getting the stethoscope represents. Okay, so to give this bully that they used to, put a dunce cap on this big loaf, now they give them a platform so they can shine. Okay, listen. So to give him a bold platform, they brought in sports. This is what the lady was saying, why sports was brought into schools in order to emphasize things other than scholastic excellence, and to give, I'll just keep reading. All right, so back to the dream. I asked some people who were set up next to this exhibit/channel, where is the man who runs that channel, like the curator? They looked around and said something like, well, I guess he's gone. Where are all the people that used to make those informative videos? They used to just make them out of the goodness of their heart. They just used to just make them because they were the truth. Okay? Their channels have been taken down. They've gotten strike after strike after strike. Some channels are still up, but the people can't access them. I have a channel that's still up. Not my original channel, but another one that was connected to that channel that was not deleted, but the access, because it was under the same username and password that are now disabled, I cannot access that channel. It's just up. It's called Old Path In Reach Ministries. But I can't even, you'll see, if you can watch the videos, but you can't make any comments because there was a setting that I put on there, all comments to be reviewed. So all the comments would just be held for reviewed until they drop off in, I think, like 30 days or 60 days. So there's no new comments, there's no new activity, there's nothing, because the channel just exists in limbo. So they look around and say something like, well, I guess he's gone. Okay, now listen to this. Drama clubs as well. Drama clubs, sports, what's that other thing? Oh, the school newspaper. None of that stuff has anything to do with reading, writing, and arithmetic. But but rather distract from those things in favor of propping up a certain type of person. So drama clubs. And you have to look up the occult connection with drama clubs and acting. That's why all those people who go into acting, they're basically witches. And that's what pretending is. That's nothing that we should be doing. Drama. Okay. So the word hypocrite means an actor. Let's see. Somebody told me that, but I'm about to verify that. This was some years ago, so. See, we gotta stop. Ooh. Wow. Wow. Ooh. Okay. All right. Hypnotized. I started to put actor means hypocrite, but hypnotized comes up. So I just decided to look and see what that says. It says, it says to influence, control, or direct completely, the definition, as by personal charm, words, or domination. See, we think it's this here. You are getting very sleepy. No. It's just a person with a lot of charisma. It may be a lot of beauty. It may be a beautiful voice. So these are all of the characteristics of the famous people that they set before us. Okay, so with athletes, their dazzling acting ability. And with actors and drama clubs, they take these people with these big, huge personalities. They're just some people who are like this. They call it the it factor. This person just enjoys being the center of attention. My sister, she's always just been a really silly person. She loves to make people laugh and stuff like that. She, even back when we were little, when she was very young, if she did something and we all laughed at it, she would always say, "You want me to do it again?" Because that was where she got a thrill at. So they just take these people that enjoy doing this, and then they give them the message that they want put out, and then these people who just love attention anyway, they go do it. And they reward them with fabulous lifestyles and positive press and worship and adoration of the general public. Okay. So to influence, control, or completely direct, as by personal charm, words, or domination. Then they give an example, using it in a sentence. The speaker hypnotized the audience with his powerful personality. Okay. Okay. The origin of hypocrite. The word hypocrite ultimately came into English from the Greek word hypocrites, which means an actor or a stage player. And the way the Bible uses the word hypocrite is a liar, a person who is less critical of themselves than they are of other people. Yeah, hypocrite. So it's the literal translation from the Greek is an interpreter from underneath. An interpreter from underneath. That's deep. That bizarre compound makes more sense when you know that the actors in the Greek theater wore large masks to mark which character they were playing, and so they interpreted the story from underneath the mask. The Greek word took on an extended meaning to refer to any person who was wearing a figurative mask or pretending to be someone or something that they were not. Okay. And this sense was taken into medieval French and then into English, where it showed up with this earlier spelling, hypocrite, in the 13th century religious text to refer to someone who pretends to be morally good or pious in order to deceive others. But when we say you're a hypocrite, we are not saying that you're pretending to be morally good to deceive others. That's like a side effect. But we literally mean that you judge other people by standards that you do not judge yourself by. And to me, that is a better literal interpretation of the Greek breakdown, because hypo does mean low, under, and crit could come from the word to criticize, where you critique something. So if you're a hypocrite, you are less critical of yourself than you are of other people. That's the way I look at it. It took a surprisingly long time for hypocrite to gain its more general meaning that we use it today, a person who acts in contradiction to his or her stated beliefs or feelings. All right. Let me get this done here. All right. Here we go. So drama clubs as well, where you can take these people who are good at pretending to be what they're not. Liars, hypocrites. And Jesus had a lot to say about hypocrites, didn't he? So these people good at pretending to be what they're not, and to just elevate them, to give them all kind of special privileges. Did you ever watch the drama club people? If you had a school that had a drama club, and they had a whole building to themselves, the theater. They got out of class, they got special privileges, they were just exalted. Oh, their teachers adored them, and they were just the darlings. They put on the school play, everybody got out of class early to go to the school play, and these people just got propped up. And if you search through actors and their backgrounds, they almost 100% came out of the theaters of their high schools. So this is something that's promoted by the government. All right. So, William Shakespeare. Entertainment is brainwashing. Okay? Remember that first definition that I read of hypnotize? That's what you are when you go and watch a movie, when you go and watch a screen. You have come under a spell. And with television, movies, and everything that is highly produced, and I don't care if the production value is like a slow motion effect or music behind it, beautiful imagery, or just the years of crafting that have gone into that hour and a half that you just watched. They have been able to pump your head full of enough sorcery that would make your head spin. But because you were lulled into it, and you're actually in a dreamlike, non-thinking state of mind when you watch movies. And these people, all this stuff is just jam-packed full of something that they have just molded into something very palatable, enjoyable, and entertaining. But all those ideas and curses and everything else that's in there go straight into your head, bypasses your thinking center, because you're literally in a state of hypnosis receptiveness. There's something called, they're able to measure people's brain waves. You have a different brain wave depending on what you're doing, and showing how the brain is processing information. So there's something called delta waves. And these delta waves are the same waves, this is what they say, the same waves that are exhibited when you're asleep and dreaming. So the same way that God is able to speak to us and to get things into our spirit, the devil has come up with an artificial way to do the same thing with the motion picture, which is the most significant invention that there ever has been. That's what the Lord told me one time. Talking about the camera, the most significant invention of man. Yeah, if you think about it, they might have took 3-4 years to make a movie. And just hundreds of thousands of hours of manpower. Special effects. $100 million to pay people to come and create this delusion for you and call it entertainment. And by this, our culture has literally just been destroyed outside of our awareness. Okay, so entertainment is brainwashing. Hollywood, the Hollywood is a type of a plant, a tree that makes a stick, and that was something that, the nature religions would use as a magic wand, a piece of Hollywood. And that's where the origins of the magic wand come from, and also the origins of the name Hollywood. It's witchcraft. Okay. So it says, schools had the theater agenda pushed also to foster schools of the arts and stuff like that, where it is hard to find a straight male dancer, especially in the fine arts, ballet and stuff like that. It was they made it just a place for these people to hang out on public funds and to catch them early and to foster these unnatural things in them and give them a lot of praise for it and then exalt them before the people. Okay, schools of the arts, dancing. What does this have to do with reading, writing, and arithmetic? So why aren't people learning to read, write, and do arithmetic? Because look at all the rest of the dumb stuff we're doing in school. Not to mention not punishing bad behavior. Not to mention purposely propping up the things that are of bad behavior. Okay, your child went, you and your children, you went and your children are going to Hogsworth. That's literally what our schools are, Hogsworth. Okay, Harry Potter plus the filth that is poured on a society and passed off as art. Passed off as art. Things being paid for by public funds. I think there was this one thing that had a picture of Jesus in a jar of urine, and this was art. The disgust, you'll find a common thread through these things. When you boil it all down, it's a hatred of Christ. And that's nothing but the expression of the demons that are actually behind all this, because they directly hate Jesus. They directly hate God because he threw them out and they are damned. And they got us thinking about all this stuff, but all they ever think about is hating God. All right, so athletes. I decided to just put this in. College athletes, and I was going to put behaving badly, but all I got to was BE, and behaving badly popped up. We already know. So there's these people who, from the youngest of ages, are doing nothing in school. You got grade scandals, college testing scandals with these athletes. Why do they choose to have this system, this circuit that feeds the athletic world? Why do they choose to have this come up through schools? Just to corrupt people. Just to add confusion to the classroom. Here's this kid that by all rights should be kicked out of school because they're clearly not interested in school. Go do something else with their life. But instead, they're passed along. Teachers pressured into giving them passing grades. Meanwhile, since they're not interested in class and learning and studying, they just become a distraction being there. They're not there to learn. What are they there doing? Being a dunce and being celebrated for it. All right. So that was my dream back from July of 2022. So I think I'm gonna make another video here. And that's the end of this one. So God bless.